Hey guys, it's Starts1997 here again. I'm coming to you guys with a requested toy review. Now before we begin, I would like to say, please do not get any requests for toy reviews. I don't really take requests for my toy reviews. However, the guy who did request this, YouTuber Godzilla1971, he brought up in his request that there's only one other review of this figure already on YouTube, and from what I've seen, he's right. The other guy who did the review of this is YouTuber Godzilla, who is the man behind the amazing mod for Godzilla Unleashed Overhaul, which I really think you guys should check that out. It's an amazing mod, and a lot of hard work went into it. But let's get into what you guys are here for, this figure. I probably should say this right before we begin. The color scheme that you see here in this video is not what you're going to get if you purchase this figure. This is a custom paint that I did myself. If you would like to see what this figure originally looked like, at least the standard release, you can Google image Y-MSF Godzilla 1962, or check out Godzilla's's review of it. What I mean by standard release is that Y-MSF released several versions, or several variants of this mold. There's the standard release, which has the color scheme. And they also made a glow-in-the-dark version, a translucent one with glitter. The one you see before you right now was originally all white. Matter of fact, if you look closely, let's see, if you do look really closely, you can still see some tiny spots of white. That is because I did not have access to an airbrush when painting this. Everything you see here was done with a simple brush, or brushes. Now, I guess we'll talk about the color scheme. The color scheme itself right here was inspired by the movie and the X Plus release, the gigantic series X Plus. I usually use the X Plus figures for reference alongside screenshots from the movie when custom painting, because X Plus figures are pretty much the most accurate representations that you can get. Because when I would watch this movie, and trust me, I've seen King Kong vs. Godzilla a lot of times as a kid. I have it on DVD, and I watched it constantly as a kid. Godzilla always looked gray to me, and I think I actually captured that gray pretty well with this paint. The highlights here, as well as the claw and toe colors, were inspired by the X Plus. At least the gigantic series. Anyways, let's actually talk about the stuff that we can, review of this. Such as, let's move on to detail and sculpt. Now, detail of this figure, as well as the sculpt, is absolutely amazing. I mean, just look at that detail. It's so good. I mean, there's texture, and it feels textured too. And the sculpt, it looks exactly like Godzilla 1962. And this is definitely one of my favorite Godzilla suits, and apparently a lot of fans agree with me, because this is a fan favorite suit. And it's the only one that's fought King Kong. Until 2020 when we get that remake. Woohoo! Anyways, the reason for this is because common companies like Bandai and SH Monster Arts, they try to shoot for trying to make their figures look like the monsters themselves. Y-MSF, on the other hand, tries to shoot for making their figures look more like the suits used in the movies. I prefer that direction because the suits are what you see on screen, and isn't that what you want? The most accurate representation of what you see on the screen in the movie. So yeah, detail and sculpt, amazing, solid thumbs up. However, the thing about Y-MSFs, while they're great in detail and sculpt, articulation is not really one of their strong points. This is what I'm talking about. For articulation, the arms here, the legs, and the tail, we'll get into the tail in a minute, they can go 360, However, Y-MSF is for adult collectors and not really meant to be played with by kids. Because when you try to rotate, you can only get them about so far. Any bit further than like this on my figure, I'd have to start forcing it. And if you force it, you could pop the seam. Now, yeah, you can just pop them right back in, but again, that's not something you really want to do because then the joint can get loose and then fall out constantly. Same thing for the legs. They can go 360, but they're just on this little swivel any further than like this, and then they start pop off. Which, again, if you're a kid who's looking to play with this, this is not your figure. The tail, however, with just a wee little bit of force, can go a full 360 degrees. So yeah, that's Y-MSF for you. Great detail and sculpt, but articulation's not really one of their strong points. Now, let's move on to sizing. I do not have King Kong 1962, so as a substitute, we're going to use this. The Playmates 2005 King Kong from the 2-pack Kong versus the Velociraptor. Now, for sizing, I'm not really sure, because this figure is hunched forward in a battle pose, as opposed to the Memorial Box one, which is standing straight up. The battle pose does not bother me at all. In fact, I kind of like it, but if this figure were to be standing straight up, he'd probably be, like, maybe here? Which is still not that accurate. Godzilla in the movie, and Godzilla and Kong in the movie are about here-ish? But it's okay because these are two different companies and this isn't the right Kong in the first place. So, yeah. But this is a pretty common King Kong to have because these figures were released in American stores back in KB Toys. Man, I miss that store. But yeah, not really accurate, but it's not that bad because this isn't really the right Kong to begin with. Alright, let's compare them to some other Y-MSF figures I got. Here's the Y-MSF Godzilla 1965 that I have done a review of this on YouTube. Yeah, there you go. And here's a comparison with my custom painted Y-MSF Godzilla 1964 from Godzilla vs. Mothra and Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. So yep, two custom painted Y-MSF Godzillas. And just for fun, since it's a commonly owned figure, and a lot of people have this, here is the Bandai Godzilla 1968, just for size reference, since a lot of people have this. Now, it's actually put him on his feet because if you look closely here, the tail basically sits on the ground, which helps him stand a little bit more upright. But if you actually lean him so he's flat on his feet, it's about right here. So yeah, there's your size reference right there. And so that is it for this requested toy review. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.